In the spring of 1818, a retired American Army captain mailed 500 copies of a letter to Congress, to colleges, and to foreign kings and princes. The letter made an announcement. The Earth, it said, is hollow. It is open at both poles. There is a whole warm world inside our planet. The letter asked for 100 brave volunteers to march across the polar ice with reindeer and sleighs, then through a giant hole into the inside of the Earth. And here is my favorite part. The captain knew exactly how this would sound. So he attached a certificate from a doctor stating that he was sane. His name was John Cleves Symmes Jr. He was completely serious, and within a few years, the United States Congress would actually vote on whether to send him. You are listening to Wait That Actually Happened, the podcast where we prove history is stranger than fiction. I am your host, author Daniel P. Douglas, and today's story is about the Hollow Earth expeditions. It has a war hero with a wild theory. It has Congress voting on a trip into the planet. It has Nazis, a fake diary, a hoax about the literal gates of hell, and the deepest hole ever drilled by human beings. Every expedition in this episode really happened. The Hollow Earth, as far as we know, did not. So grab a flashlight and let's head underground. John Cleves Symmes Jr. was not some random crank. He was a respected Army officer who fought for the United States in the War of 1812, including the bloody Battle of Lundy's Lane. Symmes believed the Earth was built like a set of nesting bowls. The crust, he said, was about 1,000 miles thick, with more hollow spheres tucked inside. At each pole was an enormous opening, thousands of miles wide. People called these openings Symmes holes. The slopes of the openings were so gentle, he claimed, that you could sail over the edge and into the inner world without ever noticing. And that inner world was warm, rich, and, in his words, stocked with thrifty vegetables and animals. Newspapers mocked him. Scientists ignored him. Symmes did not quit. Starting in 1820, he toured Ohio and Kentucky, giving lectures with a wooden model of the Earth that had the polar caps cut off so audiences could peek inside. By every account, he was a terrible speaker, nervous and hesitant, with a droning nasal voice. People packed the halls anyway. The bird artist John James Audubon even sketched him and scribbled a label on the portrait, "The Man with the Hole at the Pole." Plenty of people laughed, but some listened. And Symmes decided that if the scientists would not help him, he would go straight to the government. In 1822, a petition landed in the United States Congress asking the government to fund an expedition to the polar opening. The man who presented it was Senator Richard M. Johnson of Kentucky, who would later become Vice President of the United States. Yes, a future vice president carried the Hollow Earth paperwork. Congress tabled the petition, which is a polite way of saying they set it down and backed away slowly. Symmes tried again the next year, and this time the idea came to a vote. 25 members of Congress voted yes. It was nowhere near enough to pass, but it was enough to make you nervous. Symmes even asked the Ohio legislature for help. They voted to postpone the question indefinitely, which might be the most polite rejection in government history. By now, Symmes had a partner, a smooth young lecturer named Jeremiah Reynolds. The two toured together, charging 50 cents a head, until Reynolds figured something out and struck off on his own. The hole was the problem. If you stopped talking about the hole and simply asked for a grand American voyage of discovery to the South Seas, important people started nodding along. It nearly worked. President John Quincy Adams supported a great Southern expedition, and his diary shows he was relieved that Reynolds had dropped the Hollow Earth part. Then Adams lost the 1828 election to Andrew Jackson, and Jackson shelved the whole thing. So Reynolds helped organize a private expedition south in 1829. It reached Antarctic waters. Then the crew mutinied and dumped him on the coast of Chile, where he wandered for 2 years until an American warship picked him up. Some people collect stamps. Jeremiah Reynolds collected disasters. Symmes never saw any of it. Worn out from years of touring, he died in 1829. His son later put a monument over his grave in Hamilton, Ohio, a stone pillar topped with a carved globe with a hole through it. It is still standing today, and you can go see it. But the plan did not die with him. In 1836, Reynolds gave a rousing address to Congress about science and national pride, with the hollow earth carefully left out. Congress approved the money. In 1838, 6 ships of the United States exploring expedition sailed south, partly because a man who believed in a hollow planet had spent years demanding someone go look. The expedition charted a huge stretch of the Antarctic coastline, helping prove Antarctica was a continent, and its specimens helped build the collections of the Smithsonian. Reynolds, who had pushed for it longer than anyone, was left off the crew list. He had annoyed too many important people, and there was one more sting in the tail. Where Symmes promised a warm inner world, the expedition found a frozen continent. The hole was a wall of ice. Now, you might think that discovering a giant frozen continent sitting exactly where the hole was supposed to be would end the Hollow Earth story. You would be wrong. The idea just went underground, so to speak, and kept popping back up for the next 150 years. It popped up in books first. Scholars found that Edgar Allan Poe lifted hundreds of words from one of Reynolds's speeches for his novel about a voyage toward a mysterious polar opening. Reynolds also wrote a magazine story in 1839 about a real white whale called Mocha-Dick, the seed that grew into Herman Melville's Moby-Dick. The Hollow Earth crowd helped inspire 2 of the most famous works in American literature. Then it popped up somewhere much darker. In December 1938, Nazi Germany sent a ship called the Schwabenland to Antarctica. Its crew catapulted 2 seaplanes off the deck, took more than 11,000 photographs, and dropped aluminum darts stamped with swastikas to claim a region they named New Swabia. The real mission was almost hilariously boring. Germany needed whale oil for margarine and soap. That is it. The Nazis went to Antarctica for margarine. After the war, rumors grew that the expedition had secretly built an underground base and that surviving Nazis had escaped there, possibly into the hollow earth itself. None of that happened. Germany did not even have an Antarctic research station until 1981, but the legend stuck. The legend got a boost in 1947 when the United States Navy sent Admiral Richard Byrd to Antarctica with 13 ships and 4,700 men on a real training and mapping mission called Operation High Jump. Decades later, a so-called secret diary surfaced, claiming Byrd had flown into the inner Earth and met tall, advanced beings who warned humanity about atomic weapons. The diary is a complete fake. The research center that holds Byrd's actual papers says there is no trace of any of it, but it is still quoted online as proof every single day. More on this in a future episode. And then there is my favorite chapter of all. In 1970, Soviet scientists began drilling the Kola super deep borehole in the far north of Russia. By 1989, it reached 12,262 meters, about 7.6 miles, still the deepest hole human beings have ever drilled. That same year, a story spread through religious newsletters and TV broadcasts claiming the drillers had punched into a hollow space, lowered a microphone, and recorded the screams of the damned in hell. The story came with actual audio. Investigators found it was apparently looped screaming lifted from a 1972 horror movie. A Norwegian teacher was so amazed that a TV network aired it unchecked that he mailed them an even faker follow-up about a demon flying out of the hole. They aired that too. So what did the real deepest hole on Earth find? No screams, no hollow chambers, just solid, scorching rock and the fossils of tiny sea creatures more than 2 billion years old. The deeper we dug, the more solid the planet got. Today we know the Earth is not hollow. Earthquake waves pass through it, and they tell us what is inside: solid rock, molten metal, and an iron core with no room for a secret world. And yet the center of the Earth is nearly 4,000 miles down, and the deepest we have ever drilled is 7.6 miles. If the Earth were an apple, we have not broken through the skin. Sims was wrong about what is down there, but nobody has ever gone and looked. Maybe that is why the idea refuses to die. People still circulate satellite photos claiming to show holes at the poles. The fake Byrd diary still sells. The hell recording still goes viral every few years. The Hollow Earth story is a reminder of a funny truth about human beings. We do not handle blank spaces on the map very well. We would rather fill them with something amazing than leave them empty. Sims filled the unexplored poles with a sunny inner world. Conspiracy writers filled Antarctica with secret bases. TV broadcasters filled a deep hole in Russia with the actual devil. All these stories live in places we cannot easily check. That is worth remembering because the confident stranger with a wild claim did not go away. The next time a story fills an unknowable gap with something incredible, ask the question Congress should have asked in 1823. That sounds amazing, but now how would we check? So that is the tale of the Hollow Earth expeditions. A war veteran mailed the world a letter with a doctor's note attached, asking for 100 volunteers to sail into the planet. Congress took 2 votes on it. His sales pitch outlived him and helped launch the real expedition that proved Antarctica is a continent, inspired Moby-Dick, and left a monument in Ohio with a hole carved through the globe on top. The hollow earth was never found, but the search dragged the real world along behind it, from the halls of Congress to the ice of Antarctica to the bottom of a 7.6-mile hole where the only thing screaming was a horror movie soundtrack. Not bad for a theory that came with its own sanity certificate. Be sure to check out my Substack, Intelligence Bulletin, from author Daniel P. Douglas for more podcast series, written articles, and links to my books. Subscribe to never miss history's weirdest moments. Until next time, remember, truth is stranger than fiction, and history is weirder than you think. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a memorable day.